Well, and a very good afternoon and welcome to KTN Business. We're coming to you live from the capital of Nairobi, where we have a lot lined up for you this afternoon. We'll be talking matters to do with real estate as well as what's happening in the tea industry. All that will be coming up shortly. And I'll be speaking to Faith Mwaura, who is in the real estate business, just to give us perspectives around what's happening, where Kenyans are working in the diaspora, how do they invest back home? We've seen the diaspora remittances being on the upswing. What does this mean for the Kenyan property market? She is with us in studio. We'll be crossing later on to her, and just to get more from that particular interview, we'll also be telling you an update regarding the local content bill, which seeks to improve the livelihoods of millions of Kenyans that live in mineral-rich areas. But first things first, let's start you off with a Twitter poll question for today. And we are asking you, do you think enough has been done to ensure equitable distribution of the revenue from mining? Do you think enough has been done to ensure equitable distribution of the revenue from mining? You can send in your answer, be it a yes, be it a no, using our Twitter poll feedback using actually KT News, or you can use my Twitter handle at Agina Abi, even as we go along with this interesting conversation around the mining industry. Let's start you off now. Kenyans are living in mineral-rich areas may be looking at a richer future, as a piece of legislation has been unveiled seeking to force oil and gas companies to disclose how they intend to ensure locals benefit from mining activities. Speaking after the launch of the bill, Chairman of the Standing Committee on Energy, Gideon Moi, noted that the move will mark a key milestone in making Kenya a mining hub. The launch of the Local Content Bill 2016 by Baringo Senator Gideon Moi was widely endorsed by industry players. The proposed piece of legislation attempts to address the gaps in the multi-billion-dollar oil and gas industry. The bill, now dubbed the Gideon Bill, is deemed to be transformational as it aspires to change the narrative around multinational companies benefiting from minerals at the expense of local communities.
These regulations will facilitate the development of local economies, the stimulation of industrial development, the enhancement of local capacity, capability and employment, the creation of a competitive supplier base, and the development of new comparative advantages for the Republic.
The bill proposes to compel mining firms to incorporate more locals in the procurement supply chain, a breakaway from the past.
Local content is principally aimed at enhancing backward linkages and providing Kenyans with an opportunity to develop capacity, expertise, and experience in the oil and extractive industries.
But we are about to pass one of the most important bills in the Senate during this political dispensation.
In the proposed bill, you will notice that we are taking care and ensuring that we ensure that the local community benefits immensely, because this is a God-given resource for the community that live in that area, and therefore we emphasize that the community is key in ensuring that they get their rightful share of the resource.
Other major provisions in the Gideon Bill are that foreign companies will be required to train locals to empower them and to ensure technology transfer.
In short, every Kenyan now has the opportunity to identify a niche area for local capacity enhancement. Seize the moment.
The scramble for Africa's resources is on, and it's on big time. And you know what? For the first time, East Africa is now in the play. Okay, oil discoveries, not just in Kenya, but the broader East African region, Uganda, Mozambique, gas discoveries in Tanzania. We are finally there.
The bill comes at a time when Kenya is on the global map as a key exporter of titanium. Kenya also hopes to start oil exports in June next year. The bill is expected to be tabled before Senate for debate and thereafter proceed to the National Assembly before it is passed and forwarded to the President for assent. Abia Gina, KTN News. Well, and still staying with matters mining to get perspectives from Kenyans who have experienced the reality of living in a mining zone. Let's cross to John Juma in Kenya's coastal city. Over to you, John.
The mining plant was commissioned in October 2013. Over 22.2 tons of titanium components have been produced in Kwale. The project is expected to contribute $225 million to the Kenyan government in direct tax and royalties at a tune of $1 billion in GDP for the 13 years life of the mine. For the project to get the green light, locals were relocated to pave way for extraction of the minerals on their land. They were paid 80,000 Kenya shillings per acre, among other compensations. Base Titanium also say they have initiated several programs aimed at helping the community.
Like schools, hospitals, dispensaries, and the like, which were built by this mine, by the proceeds of this mine.
However, not every local member is happy. Some feel that much as the government is earning from the mining exercise, common mwananchi continue to remain poor. Mama Ruth Kiseli is among those who were relocated 3 years ago. She says setting a new homestead to start a new life in a new environment has been a big challenge, considering she was paid a peanut as compensation. This is besides other health challenges she and another resident of Miembeni village attribute to the effects of mining.
Kwa kweli katika mali inayochimbwa hapa kwetu Miembeni ni nyingi sana, lakini wakaaji wa Miembeni hawana faida yoyote.
Similar complaints of people feeling that they are not benefiting much from the natural minerals being extracted from their neighborhood is replicated in Magarini area, where salt is produced. 47-year-old Kazungu Hare has worked in the Magarini salt fields for years, but his economic state remains low.
Sina chochote cha kujivunia kufikia hapo. Sijafanya lolote. Unaona kuna kitu chochote hapa? Hivi unavyoona ni hivi tayari. Hata nyumba kutaka kujenga hii labda ni msichana wangu ameolewa, basi nimpata kitu huko ndio.
While investors in different sectors come up with several projects to benefit the neighboring communities in the name of corporate social responsibilities, some local leaders feel that lack of clear law governing standards of specific engagements between the mining firms and communities have left local wananchi at the mercies of the investors who may exploit them unknowingly. Boga Kasim is a member of County Assembly and a minority leader in Kwale County Assembly.
Zile agreement walizofanya na farmers eka moja 80,080 hazikupendeza watu. Kwa hivyo wakati sheria sahihi inatengenezwa lazima tuangalie, je, wale watu ambao minerals zitapatikana kwao katika mashamba yao watauziwa pesa ngapi?
The Local Content Bill 2016 by Baringo Senator Gideon Moi promises to give local communities more control over ownership, control and financing of resources such as oil and gas, among other mineral resources. The proposed law has introduced conditions that include a requirement that miners should provide plans to Parliament's Energy Committee showing how the activities will benefit local communities through incentives such as employment and utilization of local resources in their operations.
Government should actually see the good practice, maybe from this venture here.
On employment, the operator will be required to submit to the Parliament Committee a local content plan on the qualification requirements and employment of local persons to be engaged in the extractive or related activities and the standards for the remuneration of such employees. John Juma, KTN News, Mombasa.
Many thanks there, John Juma, just keeping us abreast with what's happening in the mining industry. And of course, just a quick recap of our Twitter poll question. We asked you, do you think enough has been done to ensure equitable distribution of the revenue from mining? And I can already see a lot of tweets coming in, and maybe let me just sample 2 of them. And we are seeing here at Bing Charlie is saying equitable distribution of resources remains a challenge at both national and county levels. Another tweet here from at Sizzling Nairobi. There is a lukewarm attempt at equitable distribution of resources. We're also seeing from at Drip Market, KE, saying equitable distribution of resources is challenged by corruption networks and cartels. Well, that's just that conversation that we continue to receive your tweets even as we move along. And right now we want to change gears and talk matters to do with real estate. And if you can join me on this other side of the studio, we'll be speaking to Faith Moura, who works with Remax Heritage Diaspora, where they do a lot when it comes to the real estate business. And of course, Kenya, as you know, has been experiencing a real estate boom. Many thanks, Faith, for joining us.
Thank you, Abby.
Of course, the real estate has been growing over time, and we're seeing a lot of Kenyans getting into this business. Perhaps just paint for us a picture of how the market is at the moment.
Real estate is one of the key drivers of the economy. It's number 3 towards the contributors. And Kenyans, even locally, many of them are into real estate investments. Many are looking to develop, many are looking to purchase land.
Yeah.
Actually, probably only the other day did we see an increase in purchase of raw land in the counties once we got into devolution matters. Mm-hmm. And Kenyans abroad have not been left behind on this as well. A lot of them are actually seeking to buy properties locally,
all right, back
in the counties and even in the major cities to develop. They are coming to us looking for joint ventures where someone has a piece of land and is probably not able to put up a development. And because they have some money that they have set aside for this, they're able to do that. And
Faith, looking at this area of investment, I know you work for a multinational company. Mm-hmm. How has the uptick been, and which countries are we seeing many Kenyans who are working abroad investing back home?
Okay. Kenyans have been sending quite a lot. We see the remittances have been increasing year on year. Last year, they sent $1.2 billion back home. Kenyans are part of the African economy. I mean, the diaspora, from the African diaspora, are sending over $50 billion annually, which is much more than the aid given to Africa. Yeah. So the Kenyans are actually mostly concentrated around Northern America. Yeah. And because of the numbers, you will see that most of the remittances are coming from that area. The US is number 1, Canada follows, but even Europe is doing very well with the remittances coming back. Australia is also sending quite a huge chunk of money back. And so these are the major areas also where we see the Kenyans who are purchasing are coming also from these areas. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And are there new markets that perhaps as Remax you are looking forward to also reaching out to? Yes, sure. Remax is actually in 100 countries globally. In Africa now, we are in almost 8 countries. And so even here locally within Africa, we are looking to the Kenyans living in South Africa, Mozambique, Angola, even Egypt. So we want them to invest back home. And this is the reason also that the government has identified them. The diaspora is the 48th county and the richest for this matter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And speaking about the diaspora, I know one of the biggest challenges has been around financing, because you might find a professional working, let's say, in Canada, they want to invest back home, and they don't have the full amount, let's say if it's buying land or buying a finished house. What sort of arrangements do they get in terms of financing models? Okay, so you find that the mortgages are very expensive compared to what they get in the countries where they live, because some countries even give 2% mortgage. Here, the government, actually President Uhuru did a very good thing of capping the interest at 14.5%. So I'm sure with regards to borrowing, banks will be more looking to give where there is a demand, and also looking to give where there is a security. And property is a very good security, because Kenya is one of the markets where the property is soaring, and the return on investment is actually quite good, other than where they're getting at 2% and the ROI is not as high as here, much as the interest is higher. So back to your question, the ways we help them, one of the ways is we help them to acquire the property. So we can go to the ground and with their requirements, look at the properties that they would be best suited for what they want to do. And then we link them up with the banks or the SACCOs that can be able to give them the money. Yeah.
And of course, Treasury has also indicated they would like to roll out a diaspora policy. And how will this impact the real estate sector as we wrap up this interview?
Actually, that's a very good thing. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs already has one in place, and I think they should align it with the already existing one. And this policy should enable the diaspora to integrate further and to engage international development agenda. So it will give them more confidence that they are being looked at as part of the, the economy, and they should have the full confidence that they want, knowing that now there are more opportunities. They can be aware of which are the areas that are giving them better returns, because they're also looking for a healthy return on their investment. And with regards to that, we go to them. Like this month, we're going to Canada to see them, to see the diaspora and talk to them about the properties and the other investments that they can engage in. So we go to them and we bring our developers with us and other companies to showcase the products and services that we have for them. Yeah.
And lastly, we are going to an election cycle. Will this impact the property market?
I don't think so, because then it would mean every 4 to 5 years that something would be happening. I think Kenyans and even the world now have quietened down when it comes to elections are coming and there's that anxiety. I don't think it's much now, because we have come to see that the election will come and go and business will be back to usual.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect place to end the conversation. We're speaking there to
Thank you
Faith
so much,
Mora,
Abby.
who works with Remax Heritage, a global firm that is in the business of the property market, just giving us some interesting insights into this particular area. And that actually continues to show the interest that Kenyans working abroad are having when it comes to